Hey, what's up, guys? It's Will back once again for another fight card prediction. We're going to be breaking down UFC Ottawa Iaquinta versus Donald Cowboy Cerrone as our main event. So yeah, sorry I got this out a little bit late. I just some real life stuff get in the way, so I had to get that sorted before I could get this sorted for you guys. Appreciate all the love and support. We're going to get into this very, very quickly. Coming off a fairly decent week last week. With Hermanson getting the big win over Jacare, which was a nice one to get. So let's see if we can kind of keep it going this week here and see if we can have another decent week. This fight here is the first one on the fight card. Don't know where it's going to slot into the fight card, but it's because it's a late replacement here. Sayar Bahadrzada was supposed to face Nordine Taleb. Kyle Prepolec is came in as a replacement here against Nordine Taleb, and we'll start off with that fight there. And we're going to start with the newcomer in Prepolec, 12-5 record, fighting out of Windsor, Ontario. All in all, I think he's a pretty well-rounded kind of guy. I think he's got good striking when you see it. I think he's got submissions there as well. He's got stoppages via both, which is always good. I wouldn't say there's any really big holes in his game, but the one thing that really stood out to me is how passive he is, and he doesn't like lead the dance. He's very much a counter striker, but even then he doesn't. If his opponent hasn't got a high output, he's not a guy that's got a lot of output himself. So it was really, it's a weird thing that I noticed. I thought, yeah, your striking that you do throw and looks good, and the submissions that I did see, I thought that looks all right as well, but far too passive, and he waits far too long throwing strikes or being the aggressor himself, and I think that really hurts him in some aspects. Too conservative. I think that's a word for him. Too conservative by an absolute mile. Needs his opponent to be the aggressor to really do a lot in the fight, and yeah, I think that's one of I think in the UFC, I think he will get found out by a lot of guys due to this, because a lot of guys that throw have got a heavy pressure game, and he's going to have to be matched up kind of. The matchups might be a little bit difficult for him kind of going forward. Hits very hard. Got some good like lead high kicks when he throws them. But like I say, not super aggressive and doesn't really press the action all too much. Yeah, apart from that, really there's not too much. I think in this one here with Taleb, I think both guys might sit back a little bit too much, but I think that Taleb is the more accurate striker, better footwork, more experience. But I think it's quite a hard fight to predict. I think it's going to be one of these fights that predominantly is on the feet. You could maybe catch him with a late knockout late in the fight. But it's I thought Prepolec, he's a guy I've known about for a long time through interviews and so on. I've seen a couple of his fights beforehand. But honestly, he's just lack of aggressiveness and killer instinct really doesn't, I don't fare well for him in the UFC. But Nordine Taleb we have seen that he has been hurt. You can get his chin if you can get there, but I'm going to pick Nordine Taleb in this one. Might get a late finish. I like him via decision though. Moving on, bantamweight division, we've got Mitch Gagnon against Cole Smith. I must admit, I'm not super impressed with what I see with Cole Smith. It looks like a grinder type fighter. And just he doesn't look overly impressive. I watched some of his fights as a pro, and I watched his couple of losses as an amateur, and I think his jiu-jitsu kind of lacks a little bit. 30 years old, so not like a super young prospect coming up through. He is 6-0, but this is a step up here. But then it's a step up against the guy that he barely ever fights. We've not seen Mitch Gagnon in a couple of years, but when you look at who he's faced and the people he's lost to, he should really be winning fights like this, because when you look at the people he has beat in the past, your Dustin Kimuras, like none of the guys I don't think are even in the UFC anymore. Roman Salazar, Tim Gorman. I mean, woof, low-level wins, to say the least. But 3 of those 4 wins are via stoppage. That's kind of how I see this going here. I've kind of got 2 ways of this fight. Mitch Gagnon either catch them really early in a submission, which I think is a high probability of happening. And then, but I do worry if this fight goes into the later rounds, especially into late 2, 3, because Cole Smith, I think he's going to want to clinch up here to get the fight to the cage and get to the ground. I think that is his best way, best chance of winning this fight here. And I just think that Mitch Gagnon's not going to let him get to that point. But if he does, he's got a good opportunity to maybe win the fight through that. Can't be super confident in Gagnon because he just doesn't fight. But he has got some skills on with his jiu-jitsu. I think that this this guy might come in here and just maybe go for a takedown. He might just leave something in there and Mitch Gagnon might catch him with a submission, but then he's coming back after a few years, maybe a little bit rusty. I don't know. Like I say, I think the only real big chance for Cole Smith is to really get him late on if Gagnon starts to tire, and he has shown that in the past before. I'm going to go actually Mitch Gagnon with a first round submission. I think he might initiate a takedown, Cole Smith, maybe leave his neck in there, catch a guillotine. If not, if he gets the back, rear naked choke. I like Mitch Gagnon in that spot, but risky pick in my opinion as well. So I'll go Gagnon first round submission though. Arjan Bhullar against Juan Adams. Whew, this is a tough fight for me to call. Initially I was on Juan Adams, and I think now I'm on Arjan Bhullar, which is horrible because it's just he's not a great fighter. You've got your Commonwealth gold medalist against a D1 wrestler. I think he's a D1 wrestler in Juan Adams. But when I look at him, I don't think he's a good wrestler. He doesn't look like he's got the good faculties to be a good wrestler. Just from what I've seen there, gasses really badly. Still a young heavyweight, so that's something that can be worked upon. But he's a big guy cutting down to 265, so he's going to be huge on fight night. He's probably going to have a good 30, maybe even 40 pounds advantage over Bhullar on fight night. So it's interesting to see if Arjan can maybe get him down, but I hold hope in that for the simple reason that Chris De La Rocha got him down, and that's kind of something I think could happen here. I think Juan Adams is going to come out super aggressive. I think he's going to blow his load again, and it's just whether Arjan Bhullar can kind of maintain it and not get hit with those big strikes, because the big man will keep on coming even though he gasses pretty hard. But I think Bhullar's game plan here is to try and get him to the ground, get him against the cage and get him to the ground, because his striking is like non-existent. His striking is not good at all. Very flat-footed, is there to be hit. And like I say, Adams does hit hard, but he's still super green, like 5-0 I think he is in his career. Like he came into the UFC 4-0 after winning in Dana's show. Got a win in the third round, which is always nice to have, because like heavyweights, that usually really doesn't happen all that often. It usually kind of spurts out after one round if one hasn't finished, and it usually kind of goes on late, predominantly to decision. But yeah, this is an interesting fight here. I've seen a lot of people max betting Juan Adams. I could never be that confident to like throw a max bet on someone. I'm not a max bet kind of guy, but I think this fight could have everything, like being a really bad fight, very slow, very sloppy, and it's just about who can get the right spots at the right time. I think Bhullar might be able to get him against the cage. I think he will get takedowns, but I could maybe see Juan Adams actually getting takedowns as well. So, like I say, not super confident in the pick. I've changed from Adams to Arjan Bhullar. I'm going to pick him via a very, very, very sloppy decision here. Kyle Nelson against Matt Sayles. When I watch tape on or watch some fights on Kyle Nelson, I'm not super impressed. Nothing really to me stands out. Now he got a really bad short notice fight. Not really bad, but he got a really tough opponent in Carlos Diego Ferreira, who is streaking at the minute. Really good fighter on a good win streak, and he's just a top fighter. He's a top fighter. Very, very tough, very good in many aspects, and he seems like he's just in his pomp at the minute. He looks to be in a really solid spot. Got his chance at 155, dropping down to 145 here. Got Matt Sayles, who I actually like a lot. I bet against him last time against Shayman Moraes, and I just thought I was confident enough that Shayman could win over the 15 minutes, and he did. But what I liked about Matt Sayles was, like, I know he's still a young fighter. Loved his output, loved his movement, loved his feints. I liked all that. Started off a little bit slow, but as the fight went on, I thought he really came into it. And I think, you know what? I think he might have had an opportunity to kind of win that fight. I'm glad it was on Shaman's side because I had money on him, obviously. But like what I see, I like the output. And like I say, Kyle Nelson, to me, he just... I'm not super impressed with what I've seen. I've seen some people betting him bigger number. I don't know what his odds are, actually. Let me have a quick look at that. Plus 185. So he's a reasonable sized dog. I've seen some people fairly confident in him. And I can see kind of why, because like Matt Sayles is still a little bit of the unknown, as is Kyle Nelson, really. But I just like what I see from Matt Sayles. And yeah, I think I'm going to pick him here via decision. Yeah, I think I'm going to pick him via decision here. So I'm going to go Matt Sayles via decision. Aiemann Zahabi against Vince Morales. Oof, you know what? I'm going to pick Aiemann Zahabi, but I'll be honest with you, I am not confident in that whatsoever. The kind of main thing I think with this fight, I think that Firas Zahabi, Big Brother, is going to really get a game plan. It's going to be a close-knit fight. And I think he's just going to literally edge it. I was fairly, when Aiemann came into the UFC, I thought this might be a good prospect. Kind of, even in his debut against Reginaldo Vieira, he was very close, I thought, to losing that fight. And then I thought he had a fairly decent fight against Ricardo Ramos before getting absolutely poleaxed with that elbow, which absolutely knocked him for six. We've not seen him since. I actually heard from a couple of, from one person in particular, they thought that he didn't know whether he was going to come back to the sport. He wasn't sure. Got married. His wife, I think, convinced him that this was what he should be doing, and he's came back here. Now, Vince Morales, in my opinion, is not. It's a good opponent, I think, for him to come back to. I don't think he's going to offer up takedowns. I think it's going to be more of a striking-based fight, and I think Morales, I thought in his debut, that was a tough out against Song Yadong over in China. Threw a lot of output, got hit with a lot of shots, got taken down a couple of times. So I think this is what Zahabi's going to do. I think he's going to mix it up with his striking, and then ultimately I think he's going to get a couple of takedowns, and those last couple of minutes of rounds, it's going to win him the fight. So, but like I say, I'm not confident in that at all. I actually think Vince Morales is a bit of a live fight on this spot. So, but I am going to pick Zahabi via a very close split decision win there. Moving on, Macy Chiasson against Sarah Moras. Macy Chiasson for me is going to absolutely tear through Sarah Moras. Sarah Moras is, I'm not going to disrespect her, but she's not great. She's not a great fighter to me. I think she's moved out to Vegas to try and get herself better. I think she's a little bit too late for that. I don't think seeing the UFC after this, coming off 2 losses to Lucy Pugilova, to Lito Bernardo, and she's maybe facing the biggest puncher she's really ever faced. With the length that Macy's got, she just looks a really good fighter. Now, people are blowing this girl up big time, by the way. She's the next champion. She's going to be a champion. And I'm just like, I don't know why people do that, like blow people up before they really need to. She looks good. She's coming off a beautiful knockout win over Gina Mazzani, where she just looked fantastic. And this is the right kind of opponent just to move her on here. I don't see where Sarah Moras has got anything over her except for catching her in a submission, or Macy making a big mistake and falling into the guard and getting caught in a triangle or something. She's not going to win this fight by flopping to her back like she has done in the past. And yeah, I just think Macy's going to absolutely run through her. I was just looking at a couple of DraftKings lineups there, and I'm trying to pay up for it because I think she can get a stoppage in this fight. Kind of hard to do for me, if I'm being honest with you. But I like Macy Chiasson in the first or second round. I think she knocks out Sarah Moras. I think she's going to inflict a lot of damage in this girl and really beat her. And probably the last we see is Sarah Moras in the UFC. So Macy Chiasson, TKO in maybe round number 1, early round number 2. Moving on to the main card, we have a Marc-Andre Barriault against Andrew Sanchez. Barriault was one of the guys I was looking forward to watching in this card for the simple reason that I did see him before. I heard he got signed to the UFC. TKO I had, I was streaming onto my TV and he was just on one night and I ended up watching him. I can't remember who it was, maybe Brandon Kornberger, I think it was. And like I said, at the time I wasn't really looking too closely, just enjoying the fight. Here I went back and looked a little bit more, and I kind of thought he maybe had an opportunity to win this fight, and he still has an opportunity. But I think there is some holes in his game. Some of the things I liked though was he's a nasty striker in the clinch, and he's got some really big leg kicks as well. But I think he gets hit too often. I think he can get controlled against the fence. I think his takedown defense is not overly bad, but yeah, again, not super impressed. I think he was a double champion actually in TKO. He was the middleweight and light heavyweight. He's definitely not a light heavyweight. Pretty undersized for that. So 185 is definitely the division for him. But hits very hard, super aggressive, willing to give one to get one to give one. And yeah, I think that tough fight to come into the UFC against Andrew Sanchez. I think that Sanchez, I think he's at TriStar now. He had to go over those losses where against Anthony Smith and what was the other one? Ryan James, where he gassed. He completely gassed out and absolutely paid the price for it by getting knocked out in the third round. And that's happened 2 fights in a row. So that's a little bit sketchy where you can have a fighter that's winning the fight and then maybe gasses and then he's out of there. So hopefully that kind of is stopped and it's sorted again, because I don't want that. Coming off a win over Marcus Perez, who's really awkward, a wild man, did everything well there, really outstruck him, picked his shots well, countered very well, and won a unanimous decision victory there. I actually think that Sanchez is a guy I quite like this week to win. Like I say, I think it's a tough week for betting. I'm struggling to find bets that I like, but this one might be one I'll look at later on in the week. I like him to win this fight. I think he'll mix it up. I think he's the more technical striker. Just pick his shots. If he can pick his shots and not be super aggressive, try and tie him up a little bit. Maybe try and get takedowns. I think he can win the fights through that. He's did that in the past where he has got takedowns which have helped him obviously in the fights. I remember the one actually in the 2 losses they had, he actually got takedowns if I remember off the top of my head. And I just think it's a hard fight for Barriault to come into the UFC against. But I've seen people confident in him. I don't disagree. If you want to take the shot at him, then by all means. I wouldn't be doing it. But yeah, I'm going to go Andrew Sanchez. I'm actually going to go a stoppage. I might go a submission stoppage early round number 3 in that one there. Walt Harris against Sergey Spivak. Spivak to me doesn't look great. He's a guy that he was in a promotion and I think he was one of the big guys in the promotion, and they paid for like maybe guys to come in, and he was their kind of big guy that they tried to just get a lot of wins. And it just, to me, he looks. It doesn't look a heavyweight, first of all, to me. I think he's a guy that will ultimately move down to 205. I think he's only like 24 years old, so still very young, 9-0. I think half of his wins are via submission. He's a grappler, though. He's a guy that likes to initiate the clinch and try and get the takedowns. And he tries and uses that through trips, which is something that he really likes. Will go to single legs if he can. And when he gets to the mat, he actually moves pretty well. But again, this is against lower caliber opposition, and he can attack with submissions like his record shows. I think his best weapon is actually his ground and pound. I think he uses really smart ground and pound. He opens up positions really easy, like I was saying before. And that's what it is. On the feet, not that good. Kind of comes with some head kicks, but they just really never land. That look like flim flam that he really. By the way, hi to all the guys in the chat. I can see here. I'm just trying to concentrate on this, but yeah, it's a kind of a lot of flim flam on the feet. But he just tries to bully his opponents, and I don't think he's going to be able to bully someone like Walt Harris. And like I say, I think he's got. I don't want to say he's got potential, but I think he's got room to grow. Definitely with his age, dangerous on the mat. And if Harris can stop the takedowns here, he's going to absolutely pick him apart. boxing, Golden Gloves boxer. I think he's going to pop that jab out there, keep him at distance, and then hit him when Spivak has to try and come in for the clinch and maybe get a knockout. So, like I say, if I'm Harris, don't let him clinch up. That's where he gets his takedowns with trips and so on. It's hard to trust Walt Harris, but he is a bigger, better athlete than this guy. Yeah, I'll go Walt Harris for a knockout in the second round. It's actually, I like his line. So is it -140, I see? -160, -160, +140 coming back. So, yeah, I would like to bet Walt Harris, but again, it's hard to really feel confident in that. So I'm going to go Walt Harris over via TKO. Round number 2, I'm going to go in that one there. Brad Katona against Merab Dvalishvili. This is one I've been flip-flopping on, or I was. And I've planted my flag in the ground, and I'm actually going to go with Merab Dvalishvili. Even though I like Brad Katona a lot as a fighter, I think he's a smart fighter. Very, very good in a lot of aspects, but I think that Merab could be the guy to give him his first UFC loss here. And the reason I kind of say that is just the pressure that Merab fights with. I think that the guy goes for a crazy amount of takedowns. What I was saying on the MMA Huddle podcast earlier on was, it shocks me how good he is at getting takedowns, but how bad he is at keeping people there. Because he hasn't really got a good kind of heavy top game, which surprises me a little bit. I thought it'd be a lot better, but his takedowns, he gets takedowns pretty easily, pretty comprehensively. He's did that with Ricky Simon, who's a good grappler, a good wrestler himself, but he managed to get back to his feet. The Frankie Sainz fight, I want to say he got like 9-10 takedowns, but still lost via split, so that's a little bit sketchy. Terry and Wary actually got his UFC debut in there, even though I think he was on his way to beating Ricky Simon before that absolute weird finish there. But he's striking, like, he's so wild and so aggressive. I don't like his striking at all. I think his striking's pretty poor. And he is open to getting hit, but his pressure is crazy. When you look at someone like Brad Katona, I think he does everything very well. There's no real facet of his game he's overly bad in. I think he's got a good striker. I think he's got good attacks to the body. I think he mixes it up really well. I don't know whether he's going to be able to... I don't think he's going to be looking for the takedowns on Merab. He might be looking to maybe take him down and maybe submit him. That's a possibility. If he does, I just don't see that. I think he's going to want to keep him on the feet, keep him at distance, try and pop him those shots, stop those takedowns, sprawl. Don't get taken down, because that's what Merab's going to do. But like I say, I don't know why. Like I said, I actually really like Brad Katona. I heard some things regarding this camp where he's training and so on in Ireland, and the people that he's been training with. And I know it's not a thing you kind of look into, but Merab's with a top 5 bantamweight in Aljamain Sterling, who we know that's going to be pressuring for takedowns. He's going to be helping him. When you look at Merab with Brad Katona, it's like, who have they got? What kind of guys has he got that's going to really push him in a match, kind of specific match here? Where I think Merab's definitely going to get takedowns, not unless he gets stopped early. But I can see Brad getting back to his feet. It's whether Merab can keep that going over the 15 minutes, because if he can't, I think Brad will start to pick him apart. For me, I think that Merab's going to do enough to win this fight via decision. It's in Canada, I know. If the fight's close, you would probably edge the Canadian in that one there. But I'm going to go Merab Dvalishvili. I think that he's going to get takedowns. Hopefully he can stay on top, don't get caught in submission, and have a little bit more pressure than what he's shown in previous fights, but maybe that's not the case. But I'm going to go Merab Dvalishvili via decision now. Good fight. Cub Swanson, Sugar Shane Burgos. Struggling with this one a little bit. I've been a big fan of Shane Burgos since he came into the UFC. I've bet him on many occasions. I bet him last time against Kurt Holloway. Dude is wide open, though, with his strikes. He's very good with his striking. We've seen that the guy's got submissions with his last win. And Holloway, he does crack a little bit as well, so that's something to take into account. Yeah, wide open. When he throws, he's wide open to get countered with strikes. But this is another big step up for him against someone like Cub Swanson, who I know he's in his mid-30s now. He's been around a long time. He's lost a few fights. You look at who he's losing to, though. They're not bad losses at all. The one loss that does worry me is his last one, Renato Moicano, because he got dropped with a jab and finished in the first round, the first 4 minutes of that fight. And it was a great jab, but Moicano's got an amazing jab. But a little bit of a red flag with that, getting dropped with a jab, and then from there, like, Moicano's ground game's very, very good. So it happens. Lost to Frankie, lost to T-City. I thought he'd started that fight all right before really just succumbing to the pressure of T-City. But like I said, I really do like Shane Burgos, but I'm seeing a lot of people like super, super confident in writing someone like Cub Swanson off. I'm not one of those people. And like I say, I've been looking at this one fairly closely, and I've seen that the betting lines are well in Shane Burgos' way. They opened the line where Shane Burgos, I think, was a big underdog, which to me, I probably see Burgos, I actually probably see this close, maybe Swanson being the favourite, and Burgos being maybe a close dog, in my opinion. But I'm crap at like making lines for people. For me, Cub Swanson, super, super good boxing, really good footwork, good head movement. Is that starting to move away now? Perhaps. But I think he will get shots off. If he doesn't get caught with a big shot and put down by Burgos, which could happen, then I think he could build his confidence with his striking and really start to catch Burgos with the counter shots. And that's what we've seen in the past when Calvin Kattar's caught him with some beautiful, beautiful shots. I think if Swanson gets that confidence with his hands, then I think he can make it a very, very hard night for Shane Burgos. And this is a big step up. No matter what you say about Cub Swanson and where he is at this point in his career, you're going from Godofredo Pepe. Qatar's a good fighter, but you're going from Charles Rosa, Pepe, Holloway to Cub Swanson, who is a top 10 guy, I think around about that top 10, perennial guy that's been around there for the longest time, fought the best guys. Never won too many of those big fights, but he's still super, super hard to face. And honestly, I'm gonna take a shot on Cub Swanson here. I see a lot of the other predictors that I've kind of had the chance to watch over the last day or two go with Shane Burgos. I can see why. I'm going to take an underdog shot on Cub Swanson. I'm not going to say he's done yet. I think he's going to come in here. I think he's going to out-volume Shane Burgos. I think he's going to avoid the big shots and just try and not wilt to the pressure, because that's something he seems to be doing a little bit now. He's just wilting a little bit. But I'm going to go Cub Swanson via I'm going to go via decision in that one as well. Moving on, co-main event, we have Derek Brunson against Elias Theodorou. Trying to pick this fight. You've got someone in Elias who is just, I would rather watch paint dry than watch him. Just not a fighter I really like to watch. Nice guy, but really don't like to watch too much. Derek Brunson has just got the fight IQ of a peanut. It's hard to put trust in any one guy here. I still think, like with Elias, that fight that I watched live in Liverpool, I still think that Trevor Smith beat that guy. I really do. Good win over Eric Anders, but we've seen that Eric Anders is meddling at most. He's not going to be a ranked fighter, I don't think, in either division that he's competed in. He keeps himself on the outside, throws a lot of flim-flam, which is my new word that I like using this week, if you didn't know already. A lot of leg kicks, a lot of kind of output, really good cardio. For me, Derek Brunson, I think he's got ways to win this fight if he can cut off angles and just fight smart. Don't rush. Like, you see some of the fights with, like, I know Izzy, the fight with Izzy, that was one that I think Israel actually got in his head a little bit, and he thought, all right, I have to get this guy down before I get my ass beat in the feet, and that's what happened. And then Jacare is just, I think, a guy that he will never ever beat. before that wins over. I think he fell in love with his hands too much. I think if he was to go back to his old style, kind of wrestling, grappling, get them to the ground. Now, we're going back a long ass way. We're going back, I want to say 4 or 5 years now. But you're talking about like when he's like, and this is a bad comparison, but like when he won by submission, when he took down Yoel Romero, I want to say 3 times, was winning that fight before completely getting blasted out of there in the 3rd round. Lawrence Larkin, I think he got takedowns in that fight as well. Go back to that takedowns and try and use that. Cut off the fence, cut off the cage, sorry. Get Elias on his guessing where he has to go and then cut him off and then get takedowns. I think if he gets takedowns, he can absolutely beat up Elias Theodorou. I really do. If he doesn't and Elias is fighting at range and picking his shots, and if the rounds are close, you know which way this fight's going to go. So for me, he has to be aggressive and cut off the cage, try and get takedowns, because I think if he stands and the punches that he throws are just all power blows, that Elias can just move out of the way, catch him with some type of kicks or whatever, and just win through volume and probably landing the more shots. So for me, Derek Brunson has to get takedowns. I think he can do it. But this fight is hard for me to pick. I ain't got a clue and no confidence in either guy whatsoever. I'm going to take a shot on Derek Brunson, though, to get those takedowns and hopefully maybe knock him out because I'm not overly looking forward to this fight, if I'm being honest with you. But I'll go Derek Brunson. I'll go TKO via heavy ground and pound in round number 2. I'm going to go on that one. But I think Elias is the slight dog in that one at the minute. Oh, no, it's actually a -110 pick 'em. So, yeah, it's where it should be, in my opinion. It's a really tough fight to kind of really get any confidence. I don't know how people can really bet on that fight. And the main event of the night, we have Iaquinta against the Cowboy, Donald Cerrone. Really interesting fight, really intriguing fight. Anytime that Cerrone fights for me, it's just that a must-watch. First thing I'm going to say, I cannot believe people were writing him off against Alexander Hernandez last time. I copped so much shit for that fight week. I got messages, I got emails saying I was wrong, and it's just my pick, my prediction, my opinion how the fight's going to go, and luckily it turned in my favour and was a really nice win, a really good underdog win as well. People were just putting too much stock into Hernandez at this point in his career, and Cowboy's not done. Cowboy, when he's not facing the top guys, he wins a lot of fights. And you look at the people that he's lost to recently, they're all highly ranked guys in there. Masvidal, he's fighting Ben Askren, and Robbie Lawler's a former champion. Till fought for a title, which he probably shouldn't. Was a high ranked guy. Leon Edwards is a top 10 guy. But anytime he's an underdog, you have to take him seriously, in my opinion, because Mike Perry was an underdog to Mike Perry. Yancey, I think he was a dog. Alexander Hernandez, he was a massive dog. On the feet, I think that his biggest punch, obviously, is his big right hand, and he's got that, and he's shown that over the years his striking's definitely progressed, where he's threw in more combinations, he's got big power, so you have to be careful, but he spams that right hand all the time, looks to pressure, cut off the cage, use some low kicks, and throw the big right hand. But I think if Cerrone can pressure him, with leg kicks, body kicks, he's got some very, very dangerous kicks as Cowboy Cerrone, putting that together with his striking as well. I'm interested to see if Iaquinta's going to want to take this to the ground, because I think that people totally forget about Cerrone's ground game all the time. I've always been a massive admirer of Cerrone's ground game. I've just been a massive admirer of him as a fighter, because he's one of the best guys to watch, in my opinion. He gives us so many exciting fights. But I'm interested in this one here, because I think he can definitely beat Iaquinta. I think it's got all the chances to be a very, very close fight. But honestly, for me, I think that I like Cerrone in this spot. I'm seeing a lot of people on Iaquinta. I can see why he fought an absolute great fight against Kevin Lee. Very, very close fight. But I think in those later rounds, he definitely took over the fight and won. I know a lot of people were kind of calling that it was a robbery and so on. I didn't think so. I thought he outstruck him. He did get taken down a couple of times, but he did well to get back to his feet. And once he got back to his feet, he really put it on Kevin Lee in some of those exchanges. Gave a credible performance against Khabib, but was still thoroughly outclassed. But when you look before that, it's Diego Sanchez, Joe Lozon. We're going back like 4 years now. So, but went over Masvidal, which was controversial at the time. All around a very, very good fighter. I just think that Cowboy Cerrone is better. And I'm going to pick Cowboy Cerrone to win via submission at some point in this fight. I think that they might go to the ground. I think his ground game is just super dangerous, where if he gets an opportunity, he will put him in there in a triangle or whatever and win via submission. So I'm going to take the Cowboy in this spot here. And hopefully, I hope he gets it done. I really do. I'm a big Cowboy fan, and I'd like to see him get a massive money fight and get out if he ever decides he wants to stop fighting. I very much doubt that's going to happen though. So yeah, I'm going to pick Cowboy. I don't know, like I say, I'm looking at DraftKings. I'm going to do DraftKings for the next half an hour, 45 minutes, put some lineups together and see if there's anything I like. And yeah, that's my picks for UFC Ottawa. So hopefully I have as good a week as I had last week. That would be awesome. But yeah, it's I think it's a really tough betting card actually. Don't know what I'm going to do for bets this week. If I am going to bet, I will bet. I know I will. But I'll have to look into it very, very closely. Until next week, which is UFC 237 from Brazil, we have Rose Namajunas, Jessica Andrade, Jose Aldo against Alexander Volkanovski. You've got Anderson in the co-main event. Said Nurmagomedov against Raoni Barcelos. What a great fight that is. Thoroughly looking forward to that fight card. So until then, guys, I appreciate you for joining me. I see all you guys in the chat there. I appreciate all the love and support. Actually, what night are we on? Tuesday. I'm probably going to do on Thursday. Thursday thoughts. So keep an eye out for that. Come and join me. Like I say, my fiance's away to Spain as of tomorrow, so it's just me and the little kid. So I'll be doing something on Thursday. I might even do something on Friday as well, because I'm just going to be on my lonesome. I'll have a bit more time. So until then, guys, I appreciate you viewing this with me here, and I'll see you next week. All the best.